Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So today it will be pretty exciting. We're actually testing to see if we're actually ready for a show. We're not testing any figures or anything like that. What we're testing today is the bridle that she's in. So Hazel has been in training for the past 9 months. And she's been doing really good, but she was really on the forehand, so we had to use some harsher bits. So we had a slow twist at first with the bars on the side, and then we moved on to an elevated Waterford for a bit, for I think a week or two or even a month maximum, and that wasn't really working for us. So now she had been going into a Pelham, a French link Pelham, which is not dressage legal. So we are actually just testing to see if we're actually going to be able to go simply in a nice snaffle bit. So it is a French link snaffle, because dressage requires you to use like very mild bits, or the mildest bit you can actually put your horse into. The point of it is to show how the horse is going, and if they're able to follow directions, and if they're able to do the work that they have to do with just something really simple. So we're just actually testing the bit and the bridle, because that's gonna be her show bridle. It is a lovely PS of Sweden. The name of the bridle is Flying Changes by PS of Sweden. It's a lovely bridle, nice and padded all over. So we're just actually testing that and see if we can get some nice contact and some nice work done today. So we're just warming up here, doing some figure eight, making sure that everything is looking good. Definitely I could feel the difference without with having that bridle and this bit in. Like it takes a little bit more effort from my part to get Hazel to collect. Not that it is impossible, it just takes a long time. So what I'm actually trying to do here is to push her right into my hands, or right into the bit, to see if she's able to actually collect herself a little bit, and then slowly I'll grab some more of the reins and push her a little bit more into a frame. At the beginning of the warm-up, I'm not too much of a stickler for that. I do love her to be very supple, very nicely warmed up, but it does take some time. So as you can see here, I'm asking here and there to just really tuck her head in a little bit and help me out. So we tried to think, either I pushed her forward or she just went into a canter, which is not what I was asking for. I am though pushing her a little bit more forward than usual, just because I really want her to get that connection, and it's taking a little bit. So what I realized is right after this first canter there, she was definitely more supple and more relaxed. I think her brain was like overly focused on the fact that we will canter at some point, because I was really pushing her forward, but not asking her to canter yet. So she was just like really set on like, okay, it's gonna happen now, or it's gonna happen soon. And so she wasn't that responsive, and she was really heavy in hand, and that's why I kept on pushing her forward, asking her to lower her head a little bit, to try to get a nice collected trot somewhere whenever she was ready and warmed up. So what I like about Hazel is that she learns really fast, and I was actually really impressed on how she took that bridle and that bit, just because I don't have any leverage. So if she decides to bolt forward, well, I don't really have any plan B. And the same as if she is rooting down, well, I don't really have anything to pick that head up. I only have one set of reins, and that's it. So it's a little bit limiting, I find, for myself. Like, I'm used to having 2 reins, and being able to really bend her the way I want and achieve all kinds of different things. But with this bridle being more simple, there's not much more I can really do, I find. Obviously with time she's gonna get more trainability, she's gonna work her brain a little bit on different things, and it's going to be easier for her to do more with just less, right? Less bit, less maneuvers. So hopefully we'll get her trained to that. But today was really about testing that setup and see if we can actually would we be like show ready if we decided to go to a show tomorrow with this bridle or not. So although it looks pretty good, definitely a lot of pulling forward. So I have to really keep my hands there. It's asking me a lot of upper body strength to make it look really nice. But overall I'm pretty happy. For the first time just throwing that bridle in there and just seeing how it goes, I think it was very very rewarding and very worth it too. As you can see here, Hazel's starting to finally kind of pick up on it, because I'm really limited as what I can ask with this bit. But she's really putting her heart into it, and we were able to achieve some nice figures. So here I am trying to test also the control that I have. Hazel's a pretty good horse. She's never had anything really mean or anything like that. But control is really important, especially in dressage. You want to be able to control your horse and frame it the way you want it, so you're able to produce the maximum results and get the best out of it. But as you can see here, Hazel's working pretty good. She's being pretty diligent with her work. I do have to remind her that she has to lower her head a little bit. She's definitely not as much on the bit as I would have wanted to, but for a first try I think it's fair for her to have her head at that space. So here again, we're going to try a little bit of a canter. Obviously we're still in a work in progress here with the canter. We're doing really good, and I'm actually really surprised that I'm able to pull it off in this simple setup where Hazel's actually pretty supple and pretty responsive to my hands. So I'm getting pretty good result, especially on this side with this bridle. She's doing pretty amazing. Her head is right in the frame. She's carrying herself forward. She's using her rear hand, so she's looking pretty good. She's doing an amazing work there. The other side though is a little bit harder. Overall, doesn't matter what bit, what bridle, what anything set up there. It's just I think she has a weaker, that's gonna be her weaker side. So that diagonal of the back leg to the front leg is a little bit weaker on this hand. So we have to really kind of emphasize our work on this side. But overall, I'm pretty impressed. So because I wanted to test that bridle, I tested it first. Now I'm just doing a change of bridle here. So I'm going to put our regular bridle, our training bridle, which has the pelham on it. Just to work on different things, and I want her to collect herself a little bit more and see how she reacts to that. It's really important for her to just really learn that, you know, being collected is going to be the standard almost for now, from there on. and she's just gonna have to keep herself in that frame the whole time. It's getting a little bit better every single rides for sure. She's getting really like consistent with her work, with her headspace, with her legs, the way she's using her muscle from the back to the front. That's getting more and more and more consistent. The more we push her into that frame, the better it's going to be, because she's going to be always, you know, pushing herself from her rear end to the front, and we're going to be able to do some nice figures moving from there. Soon enough as well, as soon as she gets her canter, her elevated canter, we'll be able to do some lead changes, simple lead changes, and eventually that's going to transform over time into flying changes, which is my favorite move in dressage. It's definitely the thing that I find looks the most beautiful. That and probably canter pirouettes, but definitely flying changes is definitely my favorite move. So if we can get started on simple lead changes, I'll be thrilled already. So if you notice already Hazel's self-carriage here, you'll notice that it's much better with this bridle. She looks gorgeous. She has her head at the right place, the nose at the right place, and she's really supporting herself and carrying herself really beautifully. And that's what I'm going to try to achieve with the other bridle eventually down the line. But I'll keep on tossing both bridles at her and just getting her to kind of work regardless from one bridle to the other, and eventually I think we're going to get some consistency there. The good thing is that she's salivating pretty good with both bridles. It's just that I can't get the same collection from her when I'm putting the other bridle in. So looking pretty good here. As you can see, her head's in the right place. I am pretty excited. I mean, I don't know if we're gonna eventually get to that level, but eventually she'll be able to carry herself in a double bridle, which means that she's gonna have two bits in her mouth, doing different action, but it's gonna be a little bit similar to having the two reins that we have currently. It's just that the two bits in her mouth will be separated instead of being one piece. Which allows you for different kind of feature and control, which is going to be pretty interesting. But judging on how she's taking this pelham, I think it's going to be a nice and smooth transition, and we'll be able to put that double bridle, and I think that's going to definitely help us down the road. For now, we're not allowed to have any double bridle. We have to reach a certain level, which I think is past level 2 or something like that, which is kind of midway into the horse's career. You can start introducing the double bridle and start working in that, but we're at the very bottom here, so we're gonna have to work our way up and earn that double bridle there. But I can already see and I can already tell that she's gonna look amazing. So as I said earlier, we're still working that canter. I just want you guys to notice the difference with this bridle versus the first one that we tried today. First of all, see here, I'm asking her to lower her head and carry herself a little bit, and right away I get a response, and she's bent pretty properly. The shoulders, we can get that. We can control the speed with it. It's a lovely tool if you know how to use those bridles, these bits. And look at this canter here, very collected. I would have actually have to push her a little bit more forward so her head comes out a little bit more. She doesn't need to have her head touching her shoulder or anything like that. She just needs to keep her head in a nice space. So what I'm gonna do is try to give her a little bit more room, try to push her a little bit more forward, so we can get some nice forward motion in that canter. The thing with collecting is that the horse usually doesn't really move forward a lot, so the more they collect, the less they carry themselves forward, and it could be good or it could be bad. It really depends on what you're working, but when we're working on canter, she still has to move forward and travel forward, even though she's kind of nicely, tightly packaged. So Hazel is now at a level where she can handle, you know, having more than one canter in one lesson or one session. So we're actually pushing her into the canter and back to the trot and pushing her back into the canter. And what I find is that it really helps to supple the horse. The first one, the horse is going to be apprehensive. You push them in the canter, they're like, oh my goodness, what is this? Different speed, they're excited, they want to go forward. But the more you push them in and out and in and out, it basically makes it like not such a big deal for them, and they just soften, they just relax into it, which is what you actually want. You really want them to be relaxed and, you know, cooperate with what you're asking, which I'm pretty happy because she is definitely doing the work. As you can see here, she's working hard, but she's putting herself in the nice frame. She's pushing from her rear end to the front, and I actually really like it. I didn't think that canter work would be a collection tool, but the more we work it, the more I realized that the canter work is actually a nice tool to collect your horse or to reach collection, because they're gonna have to use their rear end, and by doing so they package themselves a little smaller, which is what collection is all about. A collected horse is a horse that's packaging itself really nicely, so the legs are going right underneath his body, and the back is a little rounded, so that's what collection is all about. And why we want collection is because that's the best way for a horse to carry a rider, or the safest way as well. So we do want them to be rounded and receive the rider, so it doesn't cause any damages over time, and they stay healthy and they have a healthy and nice back here. So it is almost the end of this session. I hope that you guys enjoyed our nice little trial today. So we're just trying the new bridle, comparing both bridles and what we can achieve with them. Hazel worked really hard. We were inside because it's been pouring here, buckets every single day. So the outdoor arena has been pretty drenched. But yeah, today she did really well indoors. It's been a while since we've been actually working indoors. But we did work up a good sweat because the humidity in that room, in that arena, was like a sauna. So we were working and it was so humid. We were both full of sweat at the end of this. And I think we did pretty much like a good half an hour in there. And yeah, I had to leave because there was people waiting in line for the arena, so I don't want to just take it all for myself. So I was just mindful of that. So we did a little cool down in the outside. That's what I usually do when there's a lot of people that wait for the arena. You definitely don't want to hog the arena for them. So that's what we're doing. So usually what I do is I just put her outside and we walk in her paddock instead. So I walk her in circles to kind of really get the blood flowing and get the cooling action, lower the heart rate so we can properly cool down. And then after that, I'm gonna give her a nice shower. So on to the shower here. As you can see, she was sweating quite a lot from the chest. She was sweating a little bit under the saddle pad, but she was sweating a lot. I don't usually work her a lot when it's really hot. Usually half an hour does the trick. If I can, on nice days, I'll do 45 minutes to an hour depending on what we're working on. But she did really well, and I felt like we could leave on a nice note and call it a day. So that's what we did. She really enjoys these shower, even though she's moving right now. It's because there's a lot of flies, but she really enjoys. That's one of her favorite moments of the day, is to get that nice shower, and she knows that her work is done for the day. So I hope that you guys really enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed filming it for you guys. It was definitely a very fun challenge, or a very fun thing to do, and just test out where we are at in our training. It seems we're definitely gonna have a little bit of work to do with this new bridle setup, but you know, for the first time in, I think, ever actually, I think it's the first time she wore that bridle, but I think for the first time she did really good, considering she could have been a little bit more collected, but it's really just minor things that we're gonna have to fit. But for training level, I think that she has all the skills to do the training level. She knows her walk, she knows her trot. That's not an issue. We can get her to bend both ways. We can get her to do side passes, go backwards. So there's all kinds of stuff that she knows already how to do, and I think she will do just fine by doing that lovely training level. And then we're gonna be able to just take on from there and do level 1, level 2 pretty easily. We're actually schooling for the next level, and then eventually I'm thinking the next year I would like to gain 1 or 2 levels with her, so we can actually have a nice smooth transition and start heading our way a little bit up. I really want her to at least achieve 2nd level if we can, 2nd, 3rd level. We'll see if she's talented enough to reach the other upper levels, but just that for me would be lovely. She's really came a long way, and she's becoming such a soft ride. I only get great comments from people either watching us or people riding my horse, so that's really encouraging.